In this video, I'm going to go over the end game goals and strategies for getting your final versions of Sparks in Umisume Pretty Derby. In my previous videos, I talked about how to get some early game Sparks really fast, which is going to be helpful, and we're going to build off of that in this towards the advanced building of your Sparks. If any of this is just over your head, be sure to check out my Sparks guide for more information on all the details and how they work. So in building the endgame legacies, there's a few things to think about. There's building a universal endgame legacy, and then there's building character compatibility specific ones. And depending on the characters, you may even want to eventually build a variation of stats. It may have your speed tree, your stamina tree, your powers, or some mixture or whatever, but that's like if you just keep playing and have nothing else to do. Additionally, you're going to be building out the green Sparks for your endgame, so for the final builds, you're only going to want to have 3-star Umas if possible. But for most of you who are free to play, that won't really open up as a very good option until you get enough of the 3-star trainees unlocked from the scout pools. So the first step is to go to team trials. You're going to have to pick up some really good Umas. There's two things to do. There's the 3 times daily chance for getting good Sparks, and then there's building it all on your own. So you can go in here, go to your class, scroll through here, and find people who aren't at max followers. If you go to the guy in first and you click the eye here, you'll see that you can't follow because everyone's doing this, but you can go through the list and hopefully be able to find someone somewhere in here that has good Sparks for you to use. So what you can do is you can go in here and you can see what their star Uma is. Look at the inspiration. You see this guy's got 3-star, 3-star, 3-star. The pink's kind of garbage though, and the white ones are mediocre, and doesn't really have a lot of green ones. So it's up to you how much time you want to spend trying to find people, or you can try to find like online communities and stuff where they share info and stuff of people to follow. But you at least want the 3 stars in the blue stats, and you want the blue stats to be ones that are good. If you're building for PvP, which most you should if you're going to play the game long term, you're going to want speed, stamina, and power. Maybe wit if you have to, but usually never guts. I never see anyone high rank using guts. Then the smartest way to do it is try to have one of your own that has 3-star or at least 2-star, because we're trying to build the parent, not the grandparent. So we need 2 to start off, and then we're building the parent with these good grandparents. So I don't have a 3-star right here, but let's go with this one here, 2-star with 2-star sprint, whatever. I think I have one better I can use, but we're just making a video here. So then you go to the guests, and a lot of you already know about this mechanic. There's the borrowing people from that where I just showed you to follow people. You can borrow from your followers. And so I can pick this one here, and I can do this 3 times per day. If I do 2 at once, I think it uses 2 of the runs. So now we have one where the parent here is 3 wit, which honestly is not I probably want to look for one that does speed, stamina, or power. But hey, whatever. We got 3 wit, but you know, you'd probably want to do stamina, speed, or power. If I was taking this seriously, that's what I would be doing. But ideally, the one here needs to have the best stats possible with as many white ones as possible. And then same for the one that you bring in from your own. This one's honestly terrible. I shouldn't be using it. It's not a good example, but, you know, I'm just trying to show you what you should do here. So you do it this way 3 times per day, and then if you want to play the game beyond that while still trying to build your Sparks, that's where you're going to want to have another legacy from your own legacies to try to fill this other slot here so that you can keep on building parents. Because say this run goes well and I get a 600 run and I get all 3, I get like 3-star on something, well then I'll have 3-star with this 3-star parent and this 2-star, 2-star parent, and that's a decent Spark to get me started. Endgame you want to get eventually to where it's 3-star, 3-star with a bunch of whites, and ideally 3-star, 3-star and a green and a bunch of whites, but that's an ongoing never-ending late game challenge. I mean realistically, I mean it's pretty much impossible, but you'd want 3-star, 3-star, 3-star with all 3-star whites, but that's like probably mathematically literally impossible, so you'll never get that. But the goal is to always be chasing that. So then there's the 2 mechanics. There's the one you probably already know about, and then there's the one that maybe you know about, but we need to talk about. But the first one is you want to get speed, stamina, and power up to 600 in each of these runs, or you want to get one of them to 1100 and the other 2 to 600 if you have enough support, good enough support cards and good enough Sparks to make that possible on each run. And you're like I said, you're gonna want to do the 3-star runs only, so you can get the green Sparks whenever possible, and just keep grinding those out as often as possible until eventually you get lucky and get one of these Sparks with over 600, which then gives you that chance for 3-star and 5 and 2-star, and eventually get lucky, get your 3-star with 3-star parents. Then there's a mechanic that maybe you know about, but some of you don't, so it's really important here, and there's a database for it on GameTora, which is the white Sparks. And the white Sparks are something that you really need to be working towards. So if you go in here, this Spark increases speed, so there's more stats. This one gives Hydrate, not as important. This one just gives a skill hint. So a lot of these are skill hints here. We can look at this one. This one gives Guts, right? So in a perfect world, what you want is you want as many of these white ones as possible that give you stats. Or skills too, but ideally stats. So like speed, if it was like speed, stamina, power, you know, that's ideal. So the question then is, how do you get these white sparks, and how do you control these white sparks? If you like, choose which ones you get to some degree. So if you really want to be end game and get everything worked out, you want to go to this page. I'll try to remember to link this in the description of this video below the first paragraph. And this is a list of the G1 races and what race sparks they give. So what needs to happen is when you're doing your runs, you need to run as many of these races and get first place as you possibly can. So every time you have a choice of races, you want to keep up with the races during your runs. And then every time you have a choice of to do a G1, you need to go to this list and then look and see what you get. It's like, so we got speed guts. We got this one, speed power. You definitely want to do the speed power one. Speed stamina. You want to do that one whenever possible. We got a power one here, speed power. This one's really good, the NHK Mile Cup. And so you just go through here and do the best ones that you can given the character that you're trying to train. And that way, when you finally get to the legacy part of it, like once you've completed it, you'll have tons and tons of white sparks from those. And if you only do the ones that give you the stats that you want, then if you get those white sparks, you'll get the good stats or good skills. Now, it's not guaranteed. If you win the race, that doesn't guarantee you get a white spark, but it is a requirement to be able to get the white spark. So if you don't do the race, you cannot get the white spark. So you got to do all the races, hope you get lucky and get the white sparks for those races that you did. So that's the end game mechanic for that. Then there's the other element of the best UMAs to get your sparks on. So what you're going to want to do in the perfect end game scenario is you're going to want to mainly use characters that do like Oguri, who use mile, medium, and they do long races, because that means they'll have the widest variety of G1 races that they can do. Now, when you're early on, it's going to be a lot harder to do this and get 600 of each stat, because giving up those turns for those races will be harder, and because your stats will be lower, you'll win less of them. But as you progress further and further and get better and better sparks and better support cards, it'll get to where, okay, as you do those races, you'll have more stats, you'll be able to give up the turns for the races, and still be able to finish with 600 of each of the stats you're trying to get sparks for, or even 1100 potentially. And so, eventually, once you get really endgame, what ends up happening is, in a perfect run, you'd have 1100 speed, 600 stamina, 600 power, and you'll have done every single G1 race that you think is applicable. And that would be like a super good god tier run. And then when that happens, you have the highest chance to get sparks, and when you get the sparks, you're going to have the highest chance of getting all the white sparks and getting a good pink spark and a good blue spark. And even getting a green spark, as long as it's a level 3 trainee or higher. Well, level 3 is the highest, but I'm just thinking like level up, that doesn't really change anything. The other secret to this is that winning G1 races gives +3 affinity, or at least that's what it says on Game Tora. So, in theory, if the UMA that you trained and its parents all had a crap ton of white sparks from winning G1 races, the white sparks don't get, I think just winning, according to Game Tora, it's literally just winning the G1s. Even if you don't get the spark, will give +3 to the compatibility, and you need 128 compatibility in order to get double circle affinity. So if you build it correctly then, and you do all the races for all of them, and they're all the ones that do mile, medium, and long, and they're all 3-star and everything, then you have the best chance of getting, a green one, plus tons of white ones, plus you put them on any trainee, and you'll have double circle affinity, which increases the stat gains. That's the long-term goal. In the shorter term, if you wanted to, you can go to the compatibility calculator on the website and try to train trainees that have compatibility with the one that you're trying to get as a best. Like the two behind it have high compatibility. That way they wouldn't need as many white sparks, and it'd be easier to get there early, but that's for the mid-game. Late game, you'll hopefully have it so good that they're basically universal, or at least close to it. And then the other thing you're going to be grinding for is actually going to be the pink sparks in the long term. That's actually going to be one of the biggest things you'll run into at the very end, because yes, you need the blue ones, but then what happens if you, say you get in here and you have the blue, they're all blue speed, and they're all 3-star, but all the pinks are 1-star, and they're all just all over the place. So you also need to try to pick characters that can get the correct ones that you want. So you want to be able to get everything to S tier for whatever you're building. And this is if you're going endgame PvP. I mean, the only reason to go this far is PvP. That's not so much for the getting a high rank, but if you're building for the team trials, which is what most people are going for long term, then you also want to build your pink sparks correctly. And so what you want to do is, say I take Oguri here, and I'm going to make her run the dirt race part of the team trial, or say I'm going to have her do the mile, for example. Let's say mile. I'm going to have her do mile, so turf, mile, and then she runs pace. So what I need is pink sparks, ideally 3-star, but even 2-star, fine, whatever. I need some for turf, I need some for mile, and I need some for pace. And hopefully what I can get to is, after the career mode, she'll have S tier turf, S tier mile, and S tier pace. And that's what you're really hoping to do. Then you put her into your mile slot for your team trial, along with a run where she has crazy good stats, and then you're good to go. And that's like how you're going to build the PvP late game. It's like you want to get all these to S, and because of this, you have higher chance of getting a bigger skill variety. You can get more golden skills, which is, I'm getting into PvP guys, getting away from Sparks guy, but golden skills give more points per race, and that's how you get higher points, so you can win more races and team trials. But now you're starting to see the direction that you go with these Sparks and why you're doing all this. If you decide to keep playing the game that long, which not a lot of you will fall off. I would say about 80% of you are probably going to fall off, by 1 year. But for the remaining 20%, that's where you'll be a year from now. And everyone else, it's like, all right, at least while you're playing, that's what you're getting to. And realistically, you can get built up to having 3-star blue for the stats that you want for all of these trainees in like a few weeks easily if you play enough per day and follow the strategies I talked about in this video. Especially do not sleep on those 3 borrows per day from here. Do that every single day the way I showed you, because you can get really unlucky, but that'll speed up the process dramatically. And then if you follow my tips from the other video, then you'll have, when your 3 are out, you'll still be able to have a legacy and a legacy of parents that are like 3-star ideally, with a little bit of time on the last strategy I talked about, the fast Sparks. And then you can grind out that way instead when the guest ones are used up for the day. And that's pretty much it for Sparks, guys. That's like the late game strategies and what you're aiming for and the ways to approach it. And I hope I covered everything here. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but hopefully that helps you out. And now you have a better idea of what everyone's doing for the end game, late game Sparks and how to build them in Uma Musume Pretty Derby.